Hey folks, how you doing? This is Coach Roger coming to you live, and I appreciate all of you. Here's a ring of the victory bell because you are all amazing people out there, amazing human beings, and I want to share a story about this next amazing human being coming on my show. His name is Jan Roberts. Now, Jan Roberts is known as a global influencer and self-leadership strategist. He's co-founder of Key Leadership Institute and founder of JR Speakers Club. He is an international leadership keynote speaker, coach, self-care strategist, behavioral analysis consultant, and values-based leadership specialist. His focus and vision is to impact and transform millions of people by providing sustainable solutions using world-class innovating the methods that are proven internationally. Ooh, I can't wait for this. Having spoken on 4 continents, his passion is to speak on the major stages of the world and also support the development of others to find their voices and make a difference. Now, I only have one question for him. Why not 7 continents? Let's find out. Here we go. The one, the one, the only Jan Roberts. Hello, hello. How are you doing?
Hello, Raja. I mean, I'm amazing, and most days even better. And I've been looking forward to this so much because we've had amazing chats together already, and we've got so much in common. So I'm excited to be here with you and getting interviewed.
Indeed, I cannot wait.
And partnering with
by the
you.
way, for those that are also excited to be here today, don't forget, go to facebook.com/StreamYard and hit accept. That way, Facebook and StreamYard can talk to each other and become best friends, just like me and Jan are today. Mr. 4 continents, I love it. That's a friggin' amazing. So, Jan, tell me a little bit more about how you got started.
Yeah, and I'm not going to start from
right?
when I was born. Yeah, no, no, but I mean, I've always been involved in people things, in training and things like that. So I mean, I was working in the oil industry for many years, but there is a little voice inside. I think most of us have got a little voice, and that there has to be more. And so eventually, I had an event where on the way home I quit my job and I said, well, if not now, then when? And if not me, who? And if not this, what else? So that decision was easy to make because when you work towards something that you want to do and the doors start opening for you, as you know as well. So that door's opened, and I love dealing with people, I love impacting people, and I love connecting with people. So it's natural for me.
Oh, fantastic. Now, what's great is that when we were talking earlier about what you do and how you do it, and I mean, like, I just thought it was amazing that you what you what I'm not gonna spoil it for the group. So tell the audience who is it, what exactly do you do, and who is it that you love to serve?
Okay, yeah. Well, thank you for the question. I mean, what I really do is I'm a leadership consultant and a values-based leadership specialist as well. And really, a lot of organizations have got problems, but most of the time they don't really know what it is. So I go and sit down with them, listen to them, and then create a program. And if they don't know the problem, we play a gamification tool with them. So we discover the problem, and then we create a program for them. And our audiences, the ones we serve so well, we've got a couple of training companies, including my wife has got another one, diversity and inclusion, and we serve corporates, even NGOs, and business owners as well as managers.
Oh, very cool, very cool. So now, tell me a little bit about, like, I'm sharing down here below, like, your link to your free gift. It's a 16-minute video about burnout. Can you tell us a little bit about, like, why that's important and what's this about?
Yeah, again, because people is basically where my passion lies, and I mean, I'm talking to not to a stranger about this subject because you've got a similar passion. But early last year, with all the negativity that's streaming into our living rooms and onto our gadgets, I thought, well, what can I do to make a positive impact rather than be part of the problem? And I thought, well, one thing we don't see much about is how we can look after ourselves, about self-care. So I said, well, I'm going to, with our martial arts background and a positive mental attitude and personal development and those kind of things and exercising, I thought, well, I'm going to start talking about self-care. And I thought I'm going to do about maybe a week, 2 weeks. And I did 44 self-care sessions on Facebook. And then I developed this further session. Now, how can I help people not, do as I do, but for them to put a program together where it becomes a catalyst for them to start looking after themselves better. Because busy entrepreneurs, all about it as well. Busy entrepreneurs, we are
Of course.
maybe an exception because we do things for ourselves. Martial
Hmm.
art and exercising and all that, and you inspire me, the socks off me every time we talk. But it is, most of the people, they put it on the back burner, and it's all about, we'll do this tomorrow. We know it's important, but we're busy being everything to everybody. So I said, hold on a minute, time out.
Hmm.
Everybody knows prevention is better than a cure, and we don't want to wait until we get a health scare, if we still come through it unscathed, that we start all of a sudden putting importance to our self-care. So what I did was I put a series together with 10 videos and also a workbook, as well as a 100-page ebook. And the ebook is called Self-Care Isn't Selfish. Becoming Healthier Happens by Choice, not by chance. But then burnout,
Love it.
people working from home till all hours at night, so as well, it's becoming more prevalent. So I said, we'll do a bonus video, which is about 16 minutes long, as you said, about burnout as well. And we want people to get that and to recognize what burnout is, to recognize it in themselves and what they can do to avoid it, even
Hmm.
in the people around them.
Right. Gotcha. And like I know, like having worked in the corporate world and big pharma for the past 25 years, I have seen it on people's
Mm,
faces. You can tell that certain people, when they walk in to the building or their office or the lab, or you know you can see the look on their face that they are stretched thin. And
mm,
I'm so sad for these people, and I try to help them. And that's been
yes.
my motto's always been, just let me just help them, just pay it forward. I don't expect anything in return. It's not the point. And
No.
some of them took offense to it. I told them that, what, I have some strategies for you. You look a little tired. I think these things would help you with your energy
Mm.
level. And they kind of looked at me as if I'm trying to steal their firstborn. And I don't get it. It's just like,
No.
so I think maybe people are just not used to someone offering them help, or they're so resistant to the fact of that, what, I can just handle it myself. I don't need any
No.
help. And
No.
and that's another sad case where you know that closed-minded attitude prevents them from getting
Mm.
what they actually need. So Jan, can you give us an example of a person that you've worked with that that like really embodies that sort of change? Have you worked with a client that you've helped through that?
Yes, I mean, through the whole self-care thing, actually, not just burnout, because I think
Yeah.
that's the whole thing the self-care does. You need to have a holistic approach. It's not just eating, sleeping, and exercising a little bit more. There is so much more to it. So people who were, and I say, we are the same, because we are guilty of it in a way sometimes, that we
Sure.
love to give, we love to help people. But when our cup is empty, that's when burnout starts coming, looking around the corner. And so we need to always practice what we preach. And I've worked with clients who came for a totally different issue. Yeah, drink enough water as well. Hydrate before you caffeinate, isn't it? But I mean, uh, they came for a totally different issue. But
Mhm.
the deep down issue, and you said it already. Why do people deny the help? Now, men especially, the ego gets in the way. I'm all
Yeah.
right, Jack, and you don't know what goes on in my life. No, but as you said already, you can see it, the emptiness in their face. The total destruction that's going on, and you want to help, but the guy came to me. Well, there's a few, but this particular guy came to me, and he wanted to grow in his business,
Yeah.
but to grow, the bottom line was he was never going to grow, because he couldn't even sit still for a minute. He was, his mind was rushing all the time. So he was going to bed at night, and sleeping was barely existent. Certainly not a quality of sleep. So when I really found out, he says he couldn't sleep well because he had so many challenges, and he wanted to grow, but he couldn't get through the challenges. And sometimes, as Les Brown says, when you're in the picture, you don't see the frame, and that's why people need coaches like us. And so, and
I
and
love that.
and and
I
that,
love it.
that's what happened to him. And the thing he couldn't see was that he was not too far away. The stress was mounting up. He was not too far away from going over the edge. So the first thing we said, the first thing you need to do is take some time out. Take
Yeah.
some, and not no phone, no mobile phone. Get somebody else to do it. And if anything happens, because when you get ill or you pass away, you're no good to anybody. So and he's not the only one. Most of the time when we go to corporates, the
Hmm.
biggest problems are usually lack of effective communication or lack of any communication. And
Oh
then
yeah,
they wonder why they're stressed out, because people do the wrong things. People don't do what they're supposed to be doing, and they're not mind readers. And
yeah,
then the top level management gets stressed out because they don't meet the bottom line, and they get pressure from above and the stakeholders, and it keeps going round and round. That's why, people, it is about time that we started looking after ourselves every single day intentionally.
indeed. And you mentioned something really good about the communication skills. I know managers who just they would give you the minimum amount of input and just expect you to know everything, and that idea of and that stresses out the employees too. And
Hmm?
I know my managers. Some were great, some were not so great, and
Hmm.
we've all had the mix of them. So like not
Yeah.
everybody has all great managers or all bad managers. No, usually you get a mix of them, and you know when you have the good ones, you're so thankful. And I just left. I mean,
Hmm.
my one great manager that we had, he just retired after 15 years. I've been working with him for 15 years, and
Wow.
off and on, I've worked with other supervisors as well. But he's been like the main guy that I would always come back to. And
Hmm.
it was so sad when he left because all that wealth of knowledge and understanding, and also you lose a relationship. When you lose a relationship, it's kind of like breaking up, and you don't want to break up.
No.
And even though in our neocortex we understand, like, we're not going out with this person. Why should it matter if they retire and you stay? But but subconsciously we feel that way, that like we long for their presence, for their familiarity, because
Hmm.
it changes the way that we do business and how we do work. So for those of us that now, and by the way, right now, anybody that's watching on the live right now or on the replay, please type in value if you've already got value. Please type in, boom, if you already got like a mindset shift, because
Hmm.
these are these small things that when people are at work, you don't stop and get a chance to be mindful of what's happening. What is the situation? What
Hmm.
is your mental state in the moment?
True.
And I'm not talking about intelligence. I'm not talking about like emotional. I'm just talking about, what are you thinking of? What are you relying on? What is it that you need that is changing? And throughout this whole
Hmm.
pandemic, the whole rise and increase in anxiety and stress and
Oh.
everything else, part of it's due to communication. Part of it's us hanging back and not really sharing what we need. And part of it's that miscommunication between managers, employees, and supervisors, and vice presidents, and top VPs, and whoever else. Um, you know, that's a lot of steps in between that are not connected by bolts. So
No.
you would hope when you go from one step to the next step in the ladder, the bolts would be connected, but sometimes they're not, and that miscommunication leads to a ladder falling and actually a building falling. Um, so yeah, great stuff already. Tell me a little bit more about uh, now that you've been in this sort of like this burnout state phase with your training and coaching. Who is it that can best receive your information? Like, who do you love to serve?
Well, I mean, as far as self-care, I think it's every single person that's above ground level should look into that. But I mean, that, vague as that will be, I mean, we all need it. But I think, when we're talking about burnout, it's not only, but mainly, I suppose, people in corporate life,
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, they're the same. And
Hmm.
I mean, I was on an interview not so long ago where the lady was a dentist, and
Hmm.
she did a burnout summit to prevent it. And I spoke into that as well. But she was a dentist and she got burned out. So it can creep up on anybody and everybody. But when we
Yeah.
when we look at the bigger picture, especially now, a lot of people in corporate, they before this all happened, they thought it was wonderful to work from home. And now you see emails flying by at 10, 11 o'clock at night, and people, they feel they have to because it's their job. And before that, they would have shut the laptop at 5 o'clock, go home and have some family time. There is
Yeah.
a lot of silent suffering going on, but also people who work from home, and there's nothing wrong because it could be a house husband, but women are also under stress with it, with the whole family being at home
Absolutely.
prolonged periods of time. So there is in the self care side, and health and well-being, we don't only have to get ourselves involved in the corporate, but even when you're in corporate, you need to get your family involved, your family and friends, make them accountability partners, and create your self-care plan with them, because like in leadership, one size doesn't fit all. So
Mhm.
I mean, the if a family can actually start putting help each other to get their self-care plan together,
Yep.
and do stuff together a little bit more, and know when you need to step back, because it's a lot about stepping back. It's not always about stepping up. Yes, we need to step up at the right time, but sometimes we forget to step back and think about the person in the mirror. And as you said already, you see them coming in, and and then when you want to help them, there is enough that will take help, but those that don't want to take help are the ones that are going to take the fall much quicker. And I know, as men, I mean, I became a co-author in a book that came out a couple of weeks ago, Relationship for Men by Men.
Mhm.
And in that, I also talk about, one of my problems also was
Yeah.
not asking for help. Men try to fix things even for themselves, and we
Yeah.
can't. We're not
Yeah. Yeah.
master
Yeah. Yeah.
fixers.
Yeah, the
You
three
know?
worst worlds in the entrepreneurial world is do it yourself. And unfortunately, do it yourself means if it's not your zone of genius, you shouldn't be
No,
doing it. You should be getting
no.
help from somebody else. And unfortunately, guess what? Even high achievers, you don't realize there's so much you still don't know. So, Jan, we're running a little bit late on time, so let's shift gears over here to the softer side of Sears. Tell us a little bit more about yourself as a person. We know about for you from the business side and how effective you are in helping people with self care and burnout. So, tell us a little more.
Hmm.
Was there any book that helped inspire you? Uh, uh, to like where you are today?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I love books. I mean, and I love hard copy books. I mean, I have highlighters and all that. And I mean, there is one book that is not quite as old.
Yeah.
It's about 8 years old, I think, and that's called Intentional Living. It's by John Maxwell, and I like it
Mm.
because of the intentional living side. And
Yep.
we all need to become more intentional, and that's not to be mistaken by having good intentions, because we've all got them. But the difference between having good intentions and leading an intentional life is people who have good intention might do something good occasionally, but people who lead an intentional life do something good continually. And that inspired me. But also, if I don't know if you're familiar with him, but the Ogmandino series, the greatest salesman in the world. And I
Oh,
mean,
Aguendino,
the
yes,
way
yes.
yeah, the way he has his books, and he's got quite a few of them, and he tells them in story form, and it's so easy to follow. But I mean, I love books, but those two, that series and intentional living are two of the ones that really stand out.
Gotcha. And like I remember in like Aguendino's in the Greatest Salesman, I read that years ago, and I remember
Mm,
hearing about that story in there. I think this was the book that this came from, where where the young entrepreneur, like he gets a job as a shopkeeper. He just has to make stained glasses, right? And
mm,
but it was at the top of the hill. So instead of that, people didn't want to come up there. So instead, well, what if he goes down to the bottom and he sells drinks in those stained glasses? And so that way, when people would have the drink, they would also buy the glass too. And so now all of a sudden,
yeah,
now you're getting a 2 for 1. You know.
mm, yeah.
um, all right. So listen, tell me real quick, because we are running a little tight on time here. uh, what about your favorite movie?
Oh, I mean, the first one that came to mind was Braveheart. I mean,
Ah,
I'm a kilt-wearing Dutchman and a family, and it's not about the differences between nations so much, but it's about having the courage to stand up for your own convictions and doing what you need to do, regardless of the consequences that might come. So
mhm.
and Convoy. I mean, when I was younger, you might have seen it as well. Convoy was also a wonderful trucker kind of movie in the 70s, but the one that really stands out is Braveheart for quite a few reasons. But it shows that when
Gotcha.
when you are convinced that you're doing the right thing, and you want to inspire a nation, then you
Yeah.
need to do that despite everything else.
Yeah, I think Gandhi had said one time that like you know it's a better to be right than to be in the majority, and
Yes,
and that's who he was. He realized that from a
indeed.
young age. He was a lawyer. He was a very smart guy, and
Mm,
he said sometimes even when everybody else around you thinks one way, if you know you're right, you've got to stand by yourself. That's it.
yeah.
What about and this will come. This is a bit of fun here. Like, what about your favorite food?
I've got two, Chinese and Italian. I both like them equally.
Beautiful.
I mean, I like pasta
Now, now I know
but I
what to
also
stock
like
in the green room
noodles.
for you. Okay.
Pardon?
Now I know what to stock in the green room for you.
Yeah.
Beautiful. What's a fun fact about you?
A fun fact: there is a few, but the one that stands out. At 3 year olds, I crashed my dad's car, and it hit the newspapers. So
Oh my God.
that was an interesting story, all by a humorous story as well. And I told that on a stage as well about creative thinking. But I was curious about my dad left the car on the hill. He had to go somewhere, and he told me not to touch anything. You know what kids do. I was 3 years
Of
old, and
course.
I sat in the driving seat. I found the handbrake, let it off, and the rest is history.
Black car.
We crashed into a brand new Volkswagen Beetle at the bottom of the hill.
Oh
So
dear.
that shows you how long ago it was. Yeah, but I mean, wonderful story, and you know, it's as kids, we try things, we invent, we touch, we do things, and unfortunately for my dad, he found his car at the bottom of the hill, surrounded by people,
I know.
and
Even though
me
even though
thinking I
that
was
is
the hero.
unfortunate, even though it is unfortunate, what an amazing story to be telling your grandkids or your children.
Mm,
Guess what I
yeah.
did? And and right now I kind of feel sorry for the kids that are just the indoor kids that don't do anything outdoors. And they,
Oh
as soon as they
my.
come home from
Yeah.
school, they don't play outside. They go straight to their tablets or their computers or their smartphones, and they're glued to the screen. And that's something that I don't allow at home. So I always
Good.
try to get the kids off of those as much as possible. All right, last question
Mm.
for you. If you had all the money and the resources in the world, what would you do to change the world using your platform?
I mean, I already in the program of values-based leaders. I want to inspire people to be the best they can be, and but to do that, they need a solid foundation, and that solid foundation has got to be basic human values. So I want to travel the world, like you said as well. We're gonna meet on global stages together. I look forward
Yep,
to that already. Two martial artists and kindred spirits. But I mean,
absolutely.
for me, all the money has never been the driving force, but I say I would rather be a billionaire because there's a lot more good with money that you can do than without.
Yeah,
But that shouldn't
absolutely.
stop anybody. But you know, I would go around the world and make sure create a movement, a bigger movement where people are inspired to into a life of significance. And a life of significance is when you start doing things for other people. So I want people to pay it forward.
Absolutely, I love it. All right, thank you so much, Jan. Hey, listen, I called the green room ahead of time because I heard that you like Italian and Chinese, so you got plenty of both. So please enjoy and save me some, okay?
Yes, and we've got plenty more to talk about, and it's been a pleasure and a privilege already, Raja. And you know, I look
All
forward
right,
to connecting much more
good. So
and
hang on, I'm
see
gonna
where we
put
can
you in the green
collaborate.
room while we do our training. Here we go, and I'll bring you right back. All right. So while Jan is enjoying his a General Tso's chicken and as well as some chicken parmesan and like whatever else he's eating, man, lucky guy. Hope he gets the breadsticks too. Hope there's some left over. Um, you know, we have coming up shortly next year our save the date here. Our Amazing Human Summit in February 22nd, 24th, 2023. It's going to be about amazing humans overcoming challenges. So if you want to be a part of that as a speaker, or if you want to come watch, it's only going to cost you $5 to just watch amazing 3 days of amazing subject matter experts that are going to give you some amazing inspirational stories as well as um, amazing training that you can use immediately. So the whole goal there is to have 3 topics that you can apply to your life right away. And on top of that, if you upgrade to VIP, you'll also be able to grab the VIP gifts that they will be handing out as well. And for you superhumans out there, there's going to be a super VIP, and that is we're going to do the very first Amazing Humans anthology, and that is your aha moment. Yes, that is done on purpose. AHA, the Amazing Humans Anthology, Volume 1. And for that, for those that really want to be part of a best-selling book, we're going to make it amazing because it'll be your story, and your story needs to be heard all around the world. So there you go. Save that date. All right, folks. And for those that have not done so yet, make sure if you are a solopreneur, an author, a speaker, or just want to get your name out there more, a small business owner, make a commercial. Why? Because every big corporation makes a commercial because it has a positive ROI. If you don't know what ROI means, then you need this more than you realize. So here's an example of what we can do if you are a speaker.
When you throw a rock into a lake, what happens? No, there's a splash. You make an impact, and then you get waves. And then you don't know where those waves are going. Those waves are going past around the reeds, and you don't know where that impact is. So all of you out there, when you're on stage, you don't know where your impact is going to end. It's never going to end.
All right, folks. So as we go into our training segment here, make sure that you also follow us on Facebook. If you have not done so, join the Mindshift Mastery group. Here's some links for you to follow. Make sure that if you want to get your free gift from us, go to victorymindsetacademy.com. Victorymindsetacademy.com. There is a fast action mindset course there for you. And if you have not done so, hurry up before we close it up. Mindshift Mastery group on Facebook, the Mindshift Mastery group. You'll see me on stage saying, believe it and become it. And I love what Jan was talking about earlier about self-care. Why is it, and let's focus right now on the men. Because one thing I've seen in corporate is that there are so many programs for women's empowerment, women's leadership, women's training and confidence, etc. And I understand there has been a history of men abusing the system and women being marginalized as a result. And I think in some ways, though, the needle has swung a bit too far the other way. So we need to also make sure that men, you also have the opportunity to grow, to learn, and also be emotionally available and say, yes, I need help. And if you're one of those men out there that are still clinging on to the 80s where, no pain, no gain, and I don't show emotions, and you're still using the aftershave that splashes on your face and then you're like screaming like a Macaulay Culkin in what's that movie, Home Alone, it's time to upgrade your perspective. And by that, all I simply mean is that there is more opportunity out there than you realize. Take advantage of it. Times have changed. You can change. And truly, all I want to say about that is that, in order for self-care to work, you have to care about yourself. Make yourself a priority. Too many times, and I've done this myself too, I'll sacrifice. Like last week, I skipped the gym Monday and Friday because Monday my son had band. So I had to drop him off early. And then I had to take my next door neighbors kids to the bus stop, and after that I had to take my daughter to school at 8 a.m. So that happened on Monday and Friday. So that means my 7:30 gym time really just was compromised, and I did it on purpose so I could take care of the children. But this week I said, you know what? Too bad. I'm going to the gym. So Monday I went to the gym and let the kids deal with what they have to go through, and they know ahead of time. And so my self-care was prioritizing myself to go to the gym 3 times a week. I prefer to go 5 times a week, but at least if I get in there 3 times a week, I can maintain and continue growing. So, Jan, let's bring you back in, and hopefully you are not stuffed. Let's see if he has that carbo load now, and hope he's not too sleepy. So, Jan, welcome back. So, tell me, how you feeling right now?
Brilliant. I'm always inspired when when the two of us have a conversation. So today is no different. It's brilliant, man.
It is. And so, what do you think about that training content, and what would you add to it?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, it is so easy to focus on other people all the time, and we need to focus on ourselves. However, as you said as well, you would have been happy with 3 times a week in the gym. You would have preferred 5, but 3 times a week. And there is other priorities that start to sneak in sometimes, and we allow them all. We sometimes need to say, hold on, I need to start looking after me. And we need to have that conversation with the person in the mirror every morning. Today, what am I going to do? We need to put a self-care plan together. And people might look at me the same as a personal development plan. They look, what are you talking about, Willis? They have no idea. Then they really need to actually get into it, because we can talk about all things leadership. We can talk about what we do in martial art, the discipline, the perseverance, the respect, all these kind of things we learn there. But in the end, if we don't look after ourselves, in the end, if whatever the leadership material and model looks like, all leadership is about personal development, and self-care is part of that personal development, and we forget it. And all great leaders read, all great leaders ask great questions, all great leaders know the need to look after themselves, and know that they need to grow every single day intentionally. So yes, exercising is important, but there is so much more. It's about the attitude, it's about habits, it's about mindfulness, it's about me time, it's about the power of the human touch, it's about gratitude, all these kind of things. So we don't need to do all things to all, but I mean, one size doesn't fit all. So do what you love, because if you, I mean, you talk about exercise, and the 1st of January is coming up again very shortly. New Year's resolution, I don't understand them, I don't do them. Most people, why wait till New Year? It's the 1st of December today.
Exactly. Oh, I love that. I say the same thing.
Yeah, happy new day. Start today. And then, because this year, when they've got the resolution fall off day, they've got a day in the new year where most people start to drop off. This year it was the 17th of January. So go and then they wait till next year. But next year is the one. No, tomorrow, or even today. Don't put it off till tomorrow. Yeah, do something. As you know, the Chinese saying the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. And if you ever want to sit in the shade, you better start planting one.
Exactly. Oh, I love that. Great analogy. And like I always tell like the people that join karate and they say, oh, I think I'm too old. It's like, you know what? The best time, like it would have been 5 years ago, but the second best time is now. And it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what happened before. It matters that you took that step and started. There's a saying out there, like when you start to make achievements and you want to start to, be wary of perfection, because we are not perfect. Forget that idea about perfection. It's better to just understand and say, you know what? More often than not, I'm going to do this. More often than not. So guess what? So some weeks I go to the gym 3 days a week instead of 5. It's okay. Don't punish yourself for not being perfect. If you just go every day and say, you know what, more often than not, I do what I need to do, all of a sudden you have validated yourself as a winner, versus the way that we're taught in society. Well, here's the 12 tasks you have to do, and if you don't complete this dirty dozen, you're a failure. Well, guess what? You're setting yourself up for failure that way, because your mindset is all about, like, if I don't complete every single thing, every single impossible task that depends on the very first one of the first morning, then I'm a failure. Well, that's a little bit unrealistic. So that's what I call unrealistic achievements. Maybe sometimes you can do that one time a week and just try to see if you can do everything, but you're not going to. It doesn't matter. What matters still is, did you complete everything more often than not? And if you did, guess what? You are a winner in my book. So Jan, any last words for the audience?
Well, I would say, first of all, they need to keep following you. If they haven't followed you yet and they're watching today, go and find Raja in all the different social media. You can find him everywhere. Go and follow him. And I just want to say to people, we've got a festive season ahead of us. First of all, we want to think about the people around us, especially those that haven't got. It's so easy, we get together with our families. There's a lot of people who are suffering, especially after the last few years we've got. Think about other people, but don't forget, and it's not being selfish, don't forget the most important person, and that's the person looking in the mirror. Start looking after yourself, start creating your own plan, and start doing it today, because you can't lead from a position of illness, disease, and any other way. You need to be fit, because leaders are in short supply. Good leaders, great leaders are in short supply. So start, as you just said, it's a small, in exercise, it's the same in leadership, it's the same in personal development, small increments every day. Start doing small things, but do them regularly and do them intentionally. And I know when you do, you look back in 6 months' time, you say, hey, I might not be where I want to be, I might not be where I ought to be, but I'm certainly not where I used to be.
Exactly. I mean, like in Japan, they have the Kaizen philosophy of just constant incremental growth. Here in America, we can translate that into saying, do 1% daily, 1% improvement from yesterday. That's all you need, 1% a day. And 1% a day is fast, because then in 3 months you're almost at 100%. By the time you complete a whole year, you've already gone 370% improvement. Think about that, 3.7x of what you've done since the starting point. So 1% a day is all you need to succeed, and do not compare yourself to anybody else. You are only comparing yourself to you yesterday. And if you just say, you know what, more often than not, I improved by 1%, and then guess what? You're going to win. All right, Jan, thank you so much for your time. This has been brilliant. And honestly, like we could talk about this forever. I think we could turn this into a 2-hour talk, and we still
Oh
wouldn't
yeah,
have enough time.
and we haven't even talked about martial arts yet.
I know we haven't even talked about karate yet. Oh my gosh, yeah, we had so much to do
But
just to talk about this.
it's been a pleasure, absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. And for everybody else watching, don't forget, please follow Jan. He's an amazing person. And everybody else watching on or watching live or on the replay, please type in value if you got amazing value out of about this. And let me pop up his gift again. There it is, the 16-minute video about the burnout, which is also the bonus video in his self-care series as well. So what I'll also do is I will share this in the chat after the show is over as per Facebook policy, and that way you have it and it is clickable. So thanks so much everyone for being here. This is Coach Roger coming to you live. A ring of the victory bell for Jan for surviving the whole time, and he's saving some breadsticks in the green room. I love it. So don't fake it till you make it. Instead, believe it and become it. And we'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Okay, all right, take care.
All right, Jan. So 3 quick questions, and then we are off to the races here. So what did you want to accomplish by being on the show today?
What I want to accomplish is just, first of all, connect with you and add value to our audience, not just your audience, my audience as well. And I know you've already added value to my audience, and I'm going to share this once it's out as well. I'm going to share it on all my media. But that was the biggest thing for me. And for the rest, I just always I'm always curious to see where these conversations go, because as you know already, we've had amazing conversations together. And they've gone all over the place from us both wanting to speak on we're both going to speak on global stages next year, to martial arts, to leadership, to discipline and all those kind of things. And as you said, we can talk for 2 hours and we'll never be done, so it's wonderful. Yeah.
And so a question too, like what was your biggest takeaway from today?
My takeaway from today is that indeed, when I say things, it's different. But when I hear it from you as well, about how you are dedicated to looking after yourself, and I think that dedication, we see it in our martial arts, and we've talked about it. But that we need to be dedicated, and for me as well. Sometimes when you feel like, especially this festive season, to slacking off a little bit, and I'm listening to you, it says no. You make the time, I make the time. Dedication is what it's at, and I like that.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of what you just said is that during this time you don't have to wait till January 1st to begin. You can start right now. So why be in that like majority of people that gain 7 pounds on average between Thanksgiving and New Year's? Why be in that category? Why not be in the category of the people that lost 7 pounds because you started now and started training? Because then by the time you hit January, you've already gotten momentum, and that's the thing that people forget about. Starting now means you got momentum, and you smashed through the new year with some forward velocity, right? And then last question for you, just would you recommend me to somebody else's stage?
I certainly will. Not only would I will, because we've already talked about this, and there is no doubt in my mind. I love the way you inspire people. I love your energy, and I love your drive and determination. So there is no reason why not, and I will do that. I'll promise you that. And I look forward to also standing on the same stages as you, that we share the stage. And
that'd be amazing. And next year, I want to come internationally. If I can find 12 international stages, that's the whole goal. I already found 2. So since last time, I've already booked 2 stages for next year. So so my goal is to just get a couple more. I want to get in every major country in the world next year. So we'll see if we can get at least 12 of those, and ideally even more. So we'll see what happens. All right, thanks so much.
Exciting times ahead.
Yep. All right, and we are out of here.